Okay, so today we are starting the candy unit and I want to show you guys how to make caramel popcorn. It's not that hard. You just need to make sure that you have some kind of thermometer because you want to make sure you get your caramel mixture to the right temperature. So you're also going to need some popcorn, some freshly popped popcorn. I like to use popcorn kernels because then we know we're not getting extra ingredients in our popcorn that we don't want. It should just be plain, but if you like that mix of sweet and salty, you can use the microwave popcorn, but you're going to need quite a bit. So if you guys don't have an air popper to make your popcorn, you can always put it in a brown paper bag and just close the top and put it in the microwave just like you do with microwave popcorn. And then when you hear it start to slow down the pops, you take it out. Okay, so I have my popcorn made, and over here in my saucepan, I have brown sugar and butter, corn syrup, and this is what is going to be the base of our caramel that we're going to pour over the popcorn. So that's in there. I'm going to bring it to a boil. It's going to need to get to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, which is called the hard crack stage in candy making. And it's called that because if you took some of it when it was in the liquid form and you dropped it into cold water, when it forms into a solid, you take it out, you can actually crack it, and it's hard like a piece of hard candy. So 300 degrees Fahrenheit is where you want it. It's important to have the other stuff also that you're going to be adding into it when you're done. So I have my baking soda. And what baking soda is going to do for the caramel is it's going to help add air so it's not so dense. And it's going to also add like a lighter color so it's not so dark. The other thing that I'm going to add after it's done boiling and it gets to 300 is half a teaspoon of vanilla. That's going to add flavor. And you want to add it after you take it off the heat just so it doesn't mess with the texture of your caramel. Okay, so I'm going to bring this all to a boil. I'll show you guys what it's going to look like when it's at the right stage. Okay, so a few more things that I want to talk to you guys about while my caramel mixture is starting to cook. When you get to that hard crack stage, what happens to the sugar is that it becomes completely dissolved in your mixture. So you're not going to have that grainy texture like you do at the beginning when you start to melt it. And then a couple things that we add to this mixture to keep it from being grainy and crystallized is number one, the corn syrup is going to help that. The butter also helps. So we have both of those things in there. Any type of acidic ingredient that you would add into there would also help keep it from crystallizing. So I don't mean like acid that would burn your face off, but I'm talking stuff like lemon juice, cream of tartar, a little bit of vinegar, any kind of citrus acid. So all of that stuff would help. Okay, so once we get to that 300-degree mark, we want to make sure that we take this off the heat immediately because the more your temperature goes up, the more it's going to change the flavor of your caramel. So it'll still be good, but it might not taste as caramely as you want it to. It might start tasting like a more strong type of caramel. And it's also going to get darker. So if you guys don't have a thermometer at home and you want to make this, something that you could do is wait till it gets to a boil, which would be 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you're just going to let it go for 5 minutes boiling, stirring it constantly so it doesn't burn to the bottom. The reason why I say use the thermometer is because it's more accurate. Everybody's stove is different. So you could let it boil for 5 minutes, but maybe it's not going to be at 300 degrees. And then you won't have that hard crack stage when it's done. Okay, so you're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to try to pick up the computer and show you guys what it's starting to look like. But it's at about 250 degrees right now, so we still have about 50 degrees to go. So you guys can see what it looks like. It's getting bubbly. And it's starting to get lighter in color, which it wasn't before. And then once you take it off the heat and you add the baking soda, you will see a big change in the way that it looks. Okay, so now I'm at the hard ball stage. So I was at about 255, and I want to show you guys how it looks a little bit different now. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. It's starting to get a little bit lighter in color. It's starting to get fluffier. If I stopped it now, it would still coat the popcorn when it was done, but it wouldn't stick to it and get that snap that it would have when it reaches the hard crack stage. Okay, so I also want to tell you guys that you need to have some shallow baking dishes ready with cooking spray on them ready to go for after you mix the caramel with your popcorn. Otherwise, your popcorn is going to start to stick together once you put the caramel on it. Okay, so I'm going to let this keep going. We are at about 260 right now, and this is just going to take some time and patience. Okay, so I reached the soft crack stage, and the mixture is starting to look darker in color, and it's getting thicker. So I'll show that to you guys. It's just getting thicker to move the silicone spatula through. I also forgot to tell you guys, if you make this, make sure that you are not using anything plastic to mix this with because it will melt. So this is silicone. And the other thing that you could use is wood, which I don't really recommend. Or you could also use metal, but you have to remember that metal is going to conduct heat, so it's going to get hot. Silicone's really your best option if you have it. Yeah. Okay, so I need some help from my son over here. He's going to hold up the computer so you guys can see what it looks like when I add the baking soda. Okay, go ahead, Jimmy. You guys are going to see the mixture get fluffier. You're going to see a little bit of a chemical reaction happening. So you can see how it's adding bubbles into there and it's getting fluffier. Okay, and then I'm going to add my vanilla just for flavor. And then after that, after I get that all mixed up, I'm going to just pour it over my popcorn and then spread it out into my prepared baking dishes. Okay? Okay, you can pause it, Jimmy. Okay, so I have put some caramel in here, and you guys are going to have to be kind of gentle when you mix it, because if you're not, then you will smash your popcorn. I'm sorry I'm getting video bombed by my son. They think it's funny that I'm making a video right now. So you can see it's getting sticky in there, and I didn't put all my caramel in there, but I'm going to add some more. And then I'm just going to put it in a thin layer on my baking sheet. All right, so this is something you kind of have to work quickly with once it's in the bowl, otherwise it starts to get stuck, which you guys can see started to happen to me. And then you also have to make sure you spread it in the pan quickly, otherwise you're going to end up with like big, huge clumps. So this is ready to go in the oven. We're going to put it in there at 250, and that's just going to help get everything set on there. And you're going to stir it once in a while, and it's going to be about an hour or so, depending on how you like your popcorn. Okay, so that's how you make caramel corn. And hopefully, if you guys are able to do that, you're able to make any other kind of candy. All right, good luck.